Hi everybody, I'm Kimberly Lehanka, the author and founder of chronicallysilly.com, and I'm coming to you this evening to share a poem that is very special to me from when I was a child. I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with it, or at least the author. And I've been going through some recent struggles with regards to my lupus and my health lately, and stumbled across this poem and just thought it was a good poem to share with all of you right now that kind of helped describe where I'm coming from and might be a way to have other people understand what it is those of us that are chronically ill go through on a day-to-day basis and what we face. The poem is called Clooney the Clown by Shel Silverstein. I'll tell you the story of Clooney the Clown, who worked in a circus that came through town. His shoes were too big and his hat was too small, but he just wasn't funny at all. He had a trombone that played loud, silly tunes. He had a green dog and 1,000 balloons. He was floppy and sloppy and skinny and tall, but he just wasn't that funny at all. And every time he did a trick, everyone felt a little sick. And every time he told a joke, folks laughed as if their hearts were broke. And every time he lost a shoe, everyone looked awfully blue. And every time he stood on his head, everyone screamed, "Go back to bed." And every time he made a leap, everybody fell asleep. And every time he ate his tie, everyone began to cry. And Clooney could not make any money, simply because he just wasn't funny. One day he said, "I'll tell this town how it feels to be an unfunny clown." And he told them all why he looked so sad, and he told them all why he felt so bad. He told of pain and rain and cold. He told of darkness in his soul. And after he finished his tale of woe, did anyone cry? Oh, no, no, no. They laughed until they shook the trees with ha-ha-has and he-he-he's. They laughed with howls and yowls and shriek. They laughed all day, they laughed all week. They laughed until they had a fit. They laughed until their jackets split. They laughed or spread for miles around to every city, every town, over the mountains and across the sea, from St. Tropez to Mont Saint-Denis, and soon the whole world rang with laughter, lasting till forever after. While Clooney stood in the circus tent, with his head drooped low and his shoulders bent, and he said, "That is not what I meant. I'm funny just by accident." And while the world laughed outside, Clooney the Clown sat down and cried. Now, how many of us have ever felt misunderstood in this way and of how others have perceived you? Because I know I have, especially with regards to my chronic illness. I chose to share this poem with you all today as it's one that is not only one of my favorite poems from when I was a child, but when I read it back the other day, and I don't mean it in a negative way, but I felt like it really hit home with me and everything I've been going through as far as feeling misunderstood by others, generally speaking, because most of us with chronic illnesses or invisible illnesses like lupus, we don't always look as sick as we are. I know that on any given day, if someone looked at me, I mean, as of lately, I've looked a little sicker, a little frailer than normal, but generally speaking, you wouldn't look at me and see a sick person or know everything that I've been going through or how much medication I need just to function on a daily basis. And, you know, coming from here, I wanted to share this with my support community, which is all of you, and those of us who live in the land of the chronically ill, as we like to call it, which is a land that you don't ask to be a part of, but are somewhat selected to join by a power that's beyond our control, and we don't always understand it, and why you're chosen is never really disclosed. But you aren't given a choice when you're handed this membership card, which, you know, it comes in the form of a bunch of prescriptions, specialist numbers, doctor's bills. But it's an exclusive club nonetheless. And upon entering, you are a member for life in most cases because most of our chronic illnesses do not have a cure. And I don't, again, want to look at this poem in a negative way as it might come off at first, but in a way that helps all of us relate to one another and perhaps gain a deeper understanding of what others are going through and become more tolerable of others and not to pass judgment, as I know that this is something I've gained a lot of over the past few years since I've been sick. For example, I'm sure many of you have heard of Christine Miserando and her famous spoon theory. That is like the Bible to us loopies. And her site is titled But You Don't Look Sick. If you haven't checked it out, please stop by. It is an awesome site, and the spoon theory is most definitely something that could help your friends and family understand. But basically what the title says is exactly what I was just talking about, how because our illness is invisible, most of the time at least, if you don't have a Maller rush out or need any kind of aids or assistive devices to get around, we suffer silently. And because of this, people tend to play down our illness or underestimate our pain and daily struggles and what we really might be going through. And it's not to say it's anyone's fault, because you can only judge by what you see and what you know, but at the same time, I think if everyone took a look at Clooney the Clown, perhaps we could all be a little bit more understanding and tolerable of others. I've dealt with a lot of adversity in my life due to my illness at a younger age, discrimination from jobs and things of that nature, as I'm sure many of you have, simply because they either found out I had lupus or my illness made me be perceived as lazy, because perhaps I needed to sit down instead of being on my feet, and people weren't always understanding why an otherwise healthy looking, and again, the emphasis on the healthy looking part, couldn't stand for 15, 20 minutes at a chalkboard and write when she was teaching students or whatever it may be. So through Clooney the Clown, I think we can all learn to be more tolerable. As I was saying, I know I have become a lot less judgmental and more understanding, and I'm not so quick to pass judgment on others as I once used to be. Not that I was a super judgmental person prior to being diagnosed, but I really do think it's from the experiences I've encountered and gone through, I've become a much stronger person, a much more tolerable person. And I've grown in a lot of ways I'm not sure I would have had I not had to dealt with a chronic illness and everything it's thrown my way. So again, like I said, the next time you see someone parking in a handicapped space and they don't show any visible signs of illness, try not to judge them, because you never know what kind of battle they might be going through or facing day in and day out, and you should never judge or look down upon anyone unless you're planning on helping them back up. And that is just a little slogan to live by day in and day out. And I hope it ends your night well if you're watching this at night, or if you're on the other side of the world and you're waking up, good morning. And I hope that gets your day started off the right way. Have a great night, everyone.